That's not only just with dating, but that's also with marriage as well in the Western world. If a relationship goes wrong, we have to deal with the reputational repercussions of, is something wrong with that guy because he was with this girl for like 2 years and now like she left.
About your personal life, I'll be honest, I don't know, right? But I'll tell you this now. If this dude, this NBA player, believed that he would be higher respected amongst his peers and amongst society for taking care of you properly, that's what he'd fucking do. He doesn't feel that because either he's rolling with the wrong people or you've pissed him off in a way or something public's happened. I don't have a clue. But something's happened where he feels like if I take care of her, I'll look like a bitch. That's what he's scared of. If it was inversed, he had no problem giving you money because that's how men function. I'm telling you right now, as a man, I'm telling you what I would do. If I had a chick with a woman, right? And she went on the news, top G's this and fucking, like I said, I have no idea what you've done, but I'm just giving my personal made up scenario.
Oh, yeah.
She would go on the news, top G's this, and he fucking lied to me, he's a piece of shit, da da da. And then I bought her a Bentley. Women's like, well, look, she insults top G, she insults him, and he's a simp, da da da. But if she was like, you know what, he's misunderstood, he's a good guy, it just didn't work out, boom, 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 I'd bet she'd be in a mansion. Right? And would that be...
You know, we always have the brunt of performance of what did he do?
Yeah, what did he do?
The responsibility in Western world always falls on men. In Eastern world, it doesn't. In the Eastern world, it falls on women because if a woman is able to get a man, it's ideally her value that needs to be able to retain that man. And that value does stem from the initial getting together. You have to have mutual values in a relationship, but it's her job to actually truly retain the relationship. If she is bad with retention of keeping a man, it shows that it may be something wrong with her, that she's selfish, that she keeps losing that person, you know.
What I always say to people who kind of suggest that the East is oppressed and stuff, I said, but measured life satisfaction, who's happier? The girl that's got an OnlyFans or doing porn, or the woman who's living in Kashmir, where I'm from, with her kids and family and has a purpose? The girl who's doing OnlyFans, these men are not going to come to your funeral. No one's going to care. Whereas that woman who's looking after her children, she's got a legacy. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. And you're telling me my culture is oppressive when I find your culture humiliating. And so that's where my kind of anti-feminism came from, because I was just constantly being told that I'm oppressed when I could not feel more liberated when I don't post like that and I don't live that lifestyle.
Men, we do provide the access to relationships. So overall, what I'm trying to say is if you really want that, you have to do more. Whatever.
Well, yeah.
So,
100%.
sorry,
No.
My bad with cutting you off.
No. I agree.
With the sexual aspect of dating you were talking about.
Yeah, I 100% agree. What you said is perfect. If you're going on that, it is more than just showing up and being hot, which, of course, guys like that. You can just show up and be hot, but if you're wanting more, you can't just show up and be hot, because as we know, there's a lot of hot people on the planet. Yeah. In fact,
true.
There's heaps of hot people. Yeah. You find them everywhere.
Yeah, you can find beautiful people anywhere.
Anywhere.
Unfortunately, some men that that don't have much value to them, they kind of take what they can get, and because of that might like conflate your sense of worth as well too, because you get free attention from dudes that just they want anything.
They're desperate for
they want anything. But if you find a real man of value that actually is selective with the things that he wants because he's invested in himself to build himself up, Benda, Kels, we're doing our thing, if we're doing that as men, then we will be more selective with what we would choose to date or have in our life.
Long term.
And have in our lives.
Now, the reason why Andrew Tate could probably have several wives who all know about each other and are totally fine with the setup is because he has the 3 M's. What I mean by the 3 M's is money, masculinity, and muscles. Now, usually women have to compromise on one of the 3 M's. Now, if he's able to have all 3 of them, what happens is women replace their possessiveness with gratitude. So they're simply grateful that a man of that status and that standard is investing in them, and they don't mind sharing that investment, because a shared investment with a man on that level is better than a sole investment from a man that is average. When a woman meets a man like Andrew, she will replace her desire to control him with a desire to impress him. And how she impresses him is simply being as feminine and nurturing as possible. Women will replace control with cooperation, because they know control is impossible with men at a certain level of status.
You will not support a man. I will, however, gladly support a woman. There's a difference. I'm willing to take on that leadership role. You're claiming you want the leadership role, but you're not willing to do what's required.
Not the leadership role.
So then how can you ask for equality and have someone who's a leader, who has more responsibility than you, then at the same time demand equality? That's ridiculous. That's like me fighting in the military, saying, yo, Lieutenant, I want all your same authority, but I'm equal to you. But we let women run around and say a bunch of bullshit like, I'm equal to you too, but I expect you to have all the responsibility. That doesn't go that way. That's not the way the world works. Someone has to be the leader. Someone has to have the responsibility. Your own answer killed it all. I am not going to support a man. Fantastic. Nor should you. You're a woman. But a man is willing to support a woman. That's the difference. We're built for it. You're not.
So you do need to show what you bring to the table. You can't just say, oh, I want to be in a relationship and I'm tired of time wasters. If you're saying you're tired of time wasters, that means you're telling us you wasted your time before, which means that the red flag may be you.
Men are more valuable as we get older. Every man, every woman knows that. Every woman will sit here and go, yeah, well, I know a man who's older than me. Of course. But if I say it the other way around, I'm misogynistic. It's just the reality of the world. So then we have to go into the other point. The point is this. When you were at your peak value, you had zero interest in monogamy. But then you find a man who's 35 at his peak value. He's finally struggled and worked, because when he was 19, no girl spoke to him. When he was 23, he was broke. When he was 24, he had no life experience. When he was 25, he couldn't fuck. He finally gets to the point where he's now at his peak value. Him at 35 is you when you were 19. And then you're sitting there saying to him, no, you should be monogamous. It's like, well, you fucking weren't. You did whatever you wanted in your peak. Now I'm finally got there. And I had to work for my shit. God and L'Oreal gave you. I had to fucking struggle. I had to go through hell to get on this yacht. You got on the yacht with an Instagram DM. I had to buy it. And now you're telling me I need to fucking settle down and behave and grow up? Fuck you.
I want someone that sees the value in the Grand Canyon. I want somebody who...
I understand. Okay, so that's a good point. Why do you think zero women choose them when they're at the peak of their choices? When a woman is 19 and she can go anywhere she wants, every man wants her, she can go on any yacht in Miami, she can get flown out to Dubai, when she has all the choices in the world, why is she completely uninterested in those kind of men? And then when she gets to a certain age of maturity and there's a whole new generation of girls who have all the choices, then they sit there and go, you know what? I deserve monogamy and and they all of a sudden want to grow up and mature. Why does no woman decide that when she actually is at her most valuable?
I'm the ice cream man. She chunky monkey. She like to fuck me suck fuck. I'm the ice cream man.
What's the value system or the point system for a woman who cooks versus a woman who can suck good dick and fuck well?
Okay, I did a street interview and I asked the guys, would you rather have a girl that gave good head or a good cook? And most guys
want this.
Bullshit. What men are interested in life as a whole is status. If I turn up home and I come home with my boys and she says, I'll cook you all a steak, that's status. If a woman comes up to me and goes, I'll be the best sex you ever had, I am fucking revolted. I don't want the best sex I've ever had. I want you to be pure and a virgin. You should know what sex is. Cook my fucking dinner. Shut up. Don't come and talk to me about fucking sucking dick. It's vile. It's disgusting. I don't want to hear that shit.
Can I say something?
I don't want to hear that shit.
And the difference between me and you is that you're glorified for it and I am burned at the stake for everything that I've been through. So you've been through a lot. I've been through a lot. I'm seen as used goods. You're seen as a high value man.
I guess the world's not fair, but that's the difference in the masculine and the feminine. Men are respected for going through things and surviving, and women are the complete opposite. They're shamed for going through things and surviving. If you look at women, love scars on men for a reason. He's gone through something.
They're war wounds.
Yeah, men don't want a chick covered in scars. I'll say this right now, that a woman, the more trauma she goes through, the more masculine she naturally becomes. And if you were to give me my ideal woman, I would not have wanted her to have a hard life and a bunch of trauma. I like the idea of her having a soft feminine life and being a soft person, and I can take care of her and protect her. Whereas as a man, to be a good man, you need to have been through a bunch of trauma, because if you haven't been through trauma as a man, you're a weakling. You have to have been through a bunch of shit. So the masculine and the feminine is a very interesting point there.
My checkered past is all over Instagram. What would be your advice to people like me then?
One of the main reasons that men are scared of a female with history is because it makes the man insecure. The women, the female paradigm in society convinces men, any man who says anything, you're insecure. It's not insecure in that way. It's insecure in a very realistic, logical way. Like I was saying earlier, she's had a lot of life experience. Let's be honest. Am I the richest guy she's ever had? No. Am I the most famous guy she's ever had? No. Am I the best looking guy she's ever had? No. Like, what's keeping her here? And then part of it comes down to, well, am I second place? If she could do better, would she do better? And that's where tiny things, like I'm talking, I know it sounds like dumb shit, tiny things about favorite car brand become more important than ever. right? It's your job as a woman, regardless of how much history you've had or what guy you're with, etc. It's your job as a woman to make your man feel secure in the fact and make him feel like a man. Like Auntie was saying, make him feel like the man no matter what he does, so that he feels like.
This kind of goes into the another topic, or the next topic that I was going to highlight or whatever, is that this is a warning that that goes for not just for men but also for women. But specifically, this is in relation to toxic femininity, that we want to tell men also, and also women, if you meet a person and the last 5 people they dated were all bad, and you choose to date them, you may end up being the 6th person that was all bad and terrible. And unfortunately, we do see that a lot with people that don't have accountability for their past. That can happen in both genders, but it is more common with the gossipy aspect, the social aspect, with ladies, as far as like talking about how bad something was previously. Men generally have etiquette that we're already told off bat, I don't want to hear about your ex, from a lot of ladies. A lot of ladies can't handle that conversation of, I don't want to hear anything about your ex or what happened and blah, 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 blah. So we tend not to mention it. And it's also our job to, when a relationship goes south, we don't have any choice but to either sink or swim.
Even as becoming a top tier guy, you can still lose the girl. And I want guys to understand that just because you become successful and you become this guy, it's not a guarantee, because women are fleeting and emotional creatures, which means they change their moods with, you know, they always say the phrase, you know, it's not your turn, she's not yours, just your turn. I think if guys like really internalize that and accept it and understand, I'm going to become the best guy for me, and then a woman's a byproduct, they'll be able to go through life a little bit better. Because a lot of times when guys, you know, do terrible things to them, whether it's self-deletion or whatever it may be, it typically comes from a girl because they didn't have the answers. They didn't know why she left them or the breakup. But when guys understand why things happened, they're able to accept it to a degree and then move on. But when they don't get that closure and know why, that's when the self-deletions happen, you know, because human beings, especially men, if you think about it, there's always been this conquest for knowledge. Like every modern convenience that we have here was created by a man that was curious, that wanted to figured it out and create an invention. But when men don't figure it out, right, a lot of times it drives them mad. And sometimes the end of the madness is a noose or a knife or a gun or whatever it may be. And we're on YouTube. I don't want to go too deep, but you know what I'm saying with the self-deletions. So sometimes being able to pick up my book or The Rational Male or whatever, and we explain to them, this is how women make like this is how it really is. The Disney fairy tales are not real. Then they're like, oh, that's why she left me. They get that closure and they're able to move on with life versus ending their life.
And we have to just swim and power through whatever relationship we lost to be able to have our dignity and show that, all right, I'm a fresh man and I'm worth something. We have to come in anew so that we can't come in down and be like, oh, my relationship is so bad. And so if you ask a man to be emotionally vulnerable and he comes with you with that, you don't know how to even respond to that.
I find it very interesting that a woman sits here to me and says, no, men are allowed to sit around and do fuck all and feel sad. And those are the men they ignore when they DM. No. Those are the men they ignore them all. No. The man who works in Starbucks, who's sad all the time, you won't reply to him. Neither will any other female. So for women to come along and pretend they give a f about the fact that most men are basically invisible. There is not a female on the planet who's invisible today. You can be a 4, overweight, fat, you'll still go to the club and get attention. 99% of the men go to the club and nobody even fucking talks to them. If they try and talk to a girl, they get blanked and ignored and told to. Most men are absolutely and utterly invisible. This is the truth about masculinity, right? It's very easy for women to sit here and complain about the top 2% of men. I met with this guy, he's arrogant, blah, 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 blah. Most men don't even exist. They send 10,000 DMs and never even get read, let alone replied to. So if you just sit here and say, I'll get a G, a big G, a boss, a millionaire, and let him have a day off, very nice of you. I'm sure you would. But
it's beyond unattractive.
It's unattractive. So that's why, ladies, I'm sorry to tell you, when you ask for men to be emotionally vulnerable, it's a bad thing to say to a guy, because men plus emotions equals either jail or something bad. You know, men, because we're physical, and we get emotional, and then you got this big dude crying, and we want to punch a wall. That's the worst thing you want to sit and witness and observe. We're like big gorillas when we get upset. You don't want to see us emotional and physical at the same time. Hey guys, if you want to watch more clips, click here.
And if you want to watch the full podcast, click right here.